I want to talk about the invisible barrier. This is a concept that I use and I explain to people so that they understand what is going on at a high level. We've all experienced something that we didn't know could happen, or we didn't know that was possible for us, and all of a sudden we figure it out. So I call that invisible barriers. We're stuck against a barrier that we cannot see the reasons for it. Once we get beyond it, when we see someone else is at that barrier, we can guide them through. We're all here because we have shone some light on those barriers. We can see those barriers. Some of them, we have gone through them, many of them, and some of them, we are working through them. And as we learn ways to work through those barriers, we share them with others so they can move along. And that's part of everybody's journey. The invisible barrier applies to all of our spiritual abundance, including financial abundance. What I'm going to say about the spiritual barrier, there's ways to identify them. Where is there an emotional charge? Where is there resistance? If you are, for example, always broke, but there's patterns that you have that either you procrastinate, you cannot get going in the morning, or that you're brought into an environment that is not that way, and people have taught you that you cannot have financial abundance, or that financial abundance is for certain people, or that it's not for you, or that when you have it and you build it up, you end up giving it away or throwing it away. You might notice thoughts, or I'll say words that come up in your head. That's not for me. I don't want that. If you start exploring those thoughts, which I call the symptoms are being told to you. If you start exploring them, then you can start working through that barrier. And one way to explore it, to write it down, because we don't always get those thoughts consciously. Sometimes they are unconscious. But as we start writing, we eventually start channeling a little bit more, and we start getting those thoughts. And that is one way to look at it. There's a lot of other ways to work through an invisible barrier, but that's just one example. I'll give you some other examples. One way is to write it out, but there's also tuning into your intuition even more. There is creating an environment that's good for you, that's holistically healthy for you. Going out in nature, because nature is an automatic cleanser and revitalizer. That will help you if you start focusing with intent on what you want to address. Nature helps you. There are YouTube lectures. There's many things that can help you along. There's becoming your own healer, which is what you're doing for everything. You're becoming your own healer. In other words, the things we do that help that charge of energy stay strong, and for it to be invisible, like an illusion that we don't know it's there, we keep feeding it. We could be feeding it with food. We could be feeding it with thoughts. We could be feeding it with thoughts we pick up from others. So we need to clean our field. We need to keep our field clean and learn how to do that. One way to do that is to learn a healing modality. Find the one that is important to you, the one that feels the best for you, and explore it. There is going to group healings, where group healings is different than individual healings, one-on-one, but there's a lot of good to group healings, and it's a different aspect of yourself that gets healed when you do that, which helps move beyond that barrier. And then there are one-on-one healing sessions.